Did you know dinosaurs were monsters? Well, not really, they were just animals. Despite that, some dinosaurs had absolutely psychopathic eating habits. In order to survive the Cretaceous period, the creatures that were alive had to adapt or be left behind. Dinosaurs literally ruled the planet for over 165 million years, meaning iteration after iteration, each generation of dinosaur evolved to be stronger than the last, leaving all the weakest dinosaurs to die or starve. If a dinosaur even had a chance to survive, it sometimes had to change what it considered food in the moment. Dinosaurs were forced to switch from herbivores to carnivores, grow rows of teeth like a lawnmower, or even cannibalize their own offsprings in order to survive. The Mesozoic era was no joke. By the end, the only dinosaurs that were still alive had millions of years to become the most deadly and horrifying or just straight up resourceful. Before I get into it, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and if you really enjoy the content and you're on mobile, please hype because it helps a ton. One of the most disturbing examples of bizarre eating methods is the Majungasaurus. The Majungasaurus was a medium-sized stocky dinosaur with a bighorn head and almost useless arms. It lived in the late Cretaceous period in Madagascar 70 million years ago and was roughly 7 meters long. The weapon that allowed Majungasaurus to be deadly was a strong bite, built for hanging on to struggling prey rather than quickly pursuing it like other dinosaurs. But what made this dinosaur more horrifying than just a strong bite was its eating habits. The Majungasaurus was one of the only dinosaurs where cannibalism was directly confirmed from fossils. Paleontologists have found Majungasaurus bones covered in tooth marks. The disturbing part is that these aren't just any tooth marks. These tooth marks have the same serration pattern, spacing, and size as other Majungasaurus teeth. The bite marks were also found on multiple bones with no signs of healing, meaning that the bites were made shortly after the animal was killed or during its death, not while it was alive. The one thing stopping this dinosaur from being truly horrifying is how unclear the extent of its cannibalism was. The fossils tell us that Majungasaurus could be a cannibal, but not that it always hunted its own kind. Many modern large predators like big cats or crocodiles will scavenge or occasionally kill members of their own species in times of intense stress or competition. So Majungasaurus likely behaved similar to those animals. The T-Rex also had its secrets that not many people know about. When most people think of how the T-Rex fed, they imagine the fast attacks and quick strikes, using its jaw to overpower its prey until it wins. The T-Rex does have the most powerful bite force of any dinosaur of its time or even any land predator ever, but many studies suggest a different style of hunting, marked by a crippling bite and a slow death. Honestly, the T-Rex probably didn't have an instant kill bite. Instead, it likely maimed its victims and then followed them as they died, waiting until the dinosaur was completely weakened before finishing it off. This makes the T-Rex more similar to a great white shark than a quick one and done killer. I mean, have you ever wondered why the T-Rex had such short arms? While there's many different theories as to why, one serious hypothesis is that when T-Rex fed during group frenzies, the shorter arms lowered the risk of them getting ripped off. If we go a little smaller and back to North America, we can find one of the creepiest methods of ending the life of its prey, and that came from the Allosaurus with its chainsaw-like method. The Allosaurus was a large meat-eating theropod dinosaur from the late Jurassic period. Paleontologists consider it the top predator in its North American ecosystem. It lived about 155 million years ago and was around 26 to 32 feet long. The name Allosaurus actually means different lizard, which kind of makes you wonder what other lizards they were looking at because this thing looks nothing like a lizard. The Allosaurus mainly preyed on large herbivores such as the Stegosaurus and other long-necked sauropods. When it struck, its biomechanics showed the dinosaur would not just bite down with as much force as possible like a T-Rex. Instead, it likely used its teeth in a hatchet or machete-style attack, swinging its head and pulling back and forth to tear big chunks of meat out of its prey. This is more similar to a modern-day hawk than the bone-crushing T-Rex. Some researchers even believe it may have been a flesh grazer, meaning it would bite and rip flesh from large animals without always killing them outright. This would allow the prey to survive the initial attack, leaving the animal or dinosaur to suffer as it tried to survive after losing literal chunks of flesh. There's also evidence that the Allosaurus may have been hunted and at least fed in groups. Just imagine a sauropod minding its own business, only to have a group of Allosauruses run up to it, ripping out its flesh one piece at a time, each dinosaur acting like its own individual chainsaw. The sauropod would not have been able to do anything except watch as it slowly gets whittled down to nothing. It was literally a dino eats dino world. But that's not all the terrifying feeding strategies that came from these massive predators. Some of the most disturbing behaviors came from smaller dinosaurs. Take the Velociraptor. In movies and television, you often see these dinosaurs as just smaller versions of a T-Rex, relying mainly on their bite to nibble and shear at prey, allowing them to weaken whenever they were attacking until they could eat. The thing that made the Velociraptor scary in movies was the fact that they were always in a group and they hunted together. In real life, the truth was way more weird. The Velociraptor relied both on its speed and precision, with its most iconic feature being a large, sickle-shaped claw on each foot. Most people believed it was used to slash at other dinosaurs, when in reality, scientists theorized that the dinosaur would hold its victim down in place, then use its talon to shear its prey piece by piece, similar to modern birds like hawks or eagles, which do a similar thing, pinning down other animals and beginning to eat the prey before it's even dead. The popular Spinosaurus also shows a horrifying example of what it took to survive the Mesozoic era. Spinosaurus was one of the largest predators ever, allowing it to use its size to dominate other dinosaurs. Unlike other theropods, the Spinosaurus spent most of its time in water, in regions like swamps and rivers. It had a long crocodile-like snout filled with conical teeth that were designed for gripping, slippery prey. Compared to movies where the dinosaur is shown as a bloodthirsty monster, in real life the Spinosaurus hunted mainly fish. But when it didn't hunt fish or was forced to hunt other prey, things take a turn from normal to horrifying. The Spinosaurus likely had the ability to grab prey with its conical teeth and drag it into the river, drowning it, similar to the way a modern-day crocodile waits at the edge for its victim before grabbing it with its jaws and dragging it under. This left the prey ambushed, confused, and underwater before it even realized what happened. The tight grip also meant that it could violently shake its prey until it literally shook it apart. There's also evidence that the Spinosaurus would seek out common water edges where dinosaurs would drink. Imagine just being a dinosaur coming down for what you think is a safe drink, only to be dragged underwater by a massive predator 3 times your size that had adapted for millions of years specifically to not let you escape. Even herbivores were not safe from disturbing adaptations to survive the harsh conditions of the time period. Some plant-eating dinosaurs had to develop extreme feeding strategies to make it another day. The hadrosaurs had hundreds of tightly packed teeth forming what is known as a dental battery. If you have tryphobia, you may want to look away from any of these pictures. Because all the teeth were packed together like that, they would constantly be self-sharpening as they ground against surfaces, sort of similar to a food processor. Whenever a tooth was worn down, a new one would immediately replace it from underneath. This adaptation allowed these dinosaurs to eat tough, fibrous plants other animals couldn't. While it may not have been directly violent, the idea of a mouth filled with hundreds of constantly replacing teeth is horrifying. Teeth constantly being ground down just to be replaced by another layer. Imagine how dangerous those teeth could have been if the dinosaur was ever forced to eat something other than just plants. The strength could have definitely done some damage if it needed to move from plants to actual prey. Parasites add another layer of horror to the many other dinosaur feeding habits. While direct evidence of dinosaurs being affected by parasites are rare, we can look to modern day organisms to get an idea of what likely existed during the time of dinosaurs. One of the most horrifying examples is the fungi Ophicordyceps, often called the zombie ant fungus. This parasite infects ants, then completely takes over their bodies and brains. It forces the ant to climb higher and higher, controlling it like a zombie, with the ant losing any of its previous autonomy. Once the ant gets as high as it can go, the fungus literally bursts out of the ant's body and releases spores into the air, which then float to find the next victim and repeat the cycle. While this fungus specifically targets ants today, it is not too far-fetched to say there could have been a similar parasitic relationship during the age of the dinosaurs. You can even imagine prehistoric parasites manipulating the behavior of entire dinosaurs or other creatures, turning them into living hosts to spread as far as possible. The idea that an animal could lose control of its own body and then be used as a tool for a parasite to spread is one of the most disturbing feeding strategies in all of nature, and it exists today. Another disturbing adaptation during this time was the relationship dinosaurs had with bones. In prehistoric times, any calorie or nutrient was a major advantage for survival. This meant that some dinosaurs specialized in bone eating, a behavior called osteophagy. Eating bones would give dinosaurs extra calcium and phosphorus along with bone marrow, which is low-key pretty good, which provided additional energy. Many fossils show crust bones and teeth that indicated species regularly bit deeply into skeletons rather than just stripping flesh off the bone. The T-Rex would do this often. With its huge jaw muscles and robust teeth, it would finally fragment bones and extract every last bit of marrow and minerals, giving it the energy it needed to survive and reinforcing its status as one of the most dominant predators. There are even hints of herbivores doing something similar, with dinosaurs such as the Lusotitan occasionally chewing bones to get extra calcium. Most bone chewing was reserved for the biggest and strongest dinosaurs, as smaller ones didn't have the strength to break them. In the Mesozoic era, nothing went to waste, as any calorie could be the difference between survival and perishing. In the end, all these feeding strategies are reminders that dinosaurs were not movie monsters. They were real animals just trying to survive. Every horrible bite, claw, and tooth was the result of millions of years of evolution, fine-tuning them to squeeze every last calorie out of their environment. Dinosaurs were just trying to live like any other animal on the planet,